Now, as you've probably already heard, Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, is suing Disney and Lucasfilm for wrongful termination and discrimination after she was, as she is basically claiming, after she was fired over some social media posts she made that Disney did not like. And this has, to the surprise of absolutely no one, I think, set the internet on fire once more, or caused another war to break out between those who stand with Gina Carano and think what Disney did was wrong, and those who think Disney had every right to do what they did. And though, sure, I could throw my 2 cents in on this one, and I already kind of did that in a video over on my other channel if you're interested, but I really don't know that I could add anything all that new to the debate, or that hasn't been said many times before at this point, or that would change anyone's mind on any of this. And so, instead, what I want to do is kind of take a step back and give this thing a more bird's eye view, if you will. I want to take a step back and talk about how rather humorous this whole thing is, though that's certainly not the right word, and what I think it says in a more broader capacity about our current society. Because you see, the part I find almost ironic is that she's suing Disney and Lucasfilm for discrimination. She's arguing that some of her male counterparts that have been or are employed by Lucasfilm, and that have been in The Mandalorian, such as Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill, that they have said similar things, but for the other side of the political spectrum, but they didn't get fired. She's arguing that men are allowed to freely state their opinions without repercussions, but she, as a woman, was not. And of course, the ironic part about this, you could say, is that many would argue that here in the Kathleen Kennedy era of Lucasfilm or Star Wars, that women have been pushed or given all the love and or advantages over men. I've even argued myself that there has certainly been a concerted effort by Kennedy to see more women brought into Star Wars, be that in front of the camera, behind it, or within the fandom, which in itself I don't think is a bad thing. I think especially from a business perspective, it makes sense for Star Wars to be a bit more welcoming to women. However, you do want to be careful about alienating your male audience in the process, which simply by the fact that you want to make it more accommodating to women, you're basically acknowledging it has indeed been enjoyed by more male fans traditionally than female ones over the years, and thus any sort of radical departure from the formula will not necessarily be loved by those male fans. As I've pointed out before in other videos, you can't argue that women can't enjoy Star Wars as much when it's made for men, and then get angry at men who don't or can't enjoy it as much when it is made more for women. That is hypocrisy. And though I honestly don't know if male characters have been sidelined quite as heavily as some want to claim, again, as I said moments ago, there still has been a concerted effort to push female characters, and they haven't always turned out the best. And so many have complained that Star Wars has become more about empowering women and showcasing strong female characters rather than just telling good stories. And back when The Mandalorian first came out, or when the first season came out, there were some out there who just saw or claimed Cara Dune, played of course by Gina Carano, was just another example of Disney-era strong female characters. They basically lumped her in with all the other female castings we'd been getting lately. Though sure, with her MMA background, I don't think there were quite as many upset with her casting, or kind of mockingly calling her a strong female character, given how strong she truly is, as there had been with others. But there are certainly those who wanted to label this just another diversity hire, or whatever you'd like to call it. And for doing that, for in any way questioning if maybe Lucasfilm and Disney had an agenda to push female characters and to accomplish something with it, they were then labeled as a hater or a misogynist or all that other fun stuff. Basically to in any way, shape, or form question the hiring of any woman for any role, to not give them your full support because they are women, that was considered wrong by some, unless of course it turns out that woman doesn't say all the right things they're supposed to say. Which is another ironic part about this, that those who have or would rush to the defense of the likes of Daisy Ridley, Kelly Marie Tran, or Moses Ingram when they faced online harassment, they were silent, if not complicit, when Gina Carano was getting attacked online, including getting death threats. I'm sure there are those who were outraged about what happened to, say, Kelly Marie Tran and others, that this could happen to a woman and cried out about it on social media, that are partaking in attacks on Gina Carano, or at the very least doing absolutely nothing to defend her. Furthermore, all of the people out there who have been rallying against Disney for years and saying that they, Disney and Lucasfilm, are going feminist or whatever, that the Force is female and all that, The ones who, as I was saying before, were automatically being called misogynist for saying anything bad about women or female characters at all, they have put Gina Carano, a woman, on a pedestal and hail her their champion, essentially. They have nothing but love for her and vigorously defend her. It's almost like everything is backwards here. But of course, it's never been about hating or loving women. And what I find so interesting about all of this, or in this very, very odd sort of way, the one small positive thing I try to take away from all this insanity, is that in some respects, I think this all begins to say or prove that people are not as bad as some want to think they are when it comes to hating each other over things like gender, race, sexuality, and all of that. I honestly don't think all that much hate truly stems from these things or these differences between us anymore. Sure, there's some of it, there always will be, but not like it used to be. Instead, in this modern world of social media and sharing ideas or opinions, it's all about ideology. It's all about your beliefs aligning with mine over what you look like or anything else about you. Especially, again, in this day and age of the internet, where a lot of the time, it's impossible to truly know anything about the person you're either arguing or agreeing with on X or wherever else it might be. You have no idea who's really behind that username and picture or avatar on all these social media websites. Nor does it matter when, again, they're either arguing or agreeing with you. And though, like I said, I do, in a sense, try to look at it as a positive that ideology can unite people regardless of virtually anything and everything else about them, it also does present a huge, huge problem, because when it comes to ideology, which are your core values and beliefs, essentially, the things you perhaps base the very way you live your life off of, well, there are then few, if any, things that mean more to you or that you will fight harder to defend, which is then, of course, oftentimes exploited. It's why so many will try to appeal to you using those things, such as politicians, for example, or basically anyone else that wants your support or loyalty. They know you will defend your ideology, your core beliefs, to the figurative and maybe even literal death. They know that if you want to get someone to like you, you simply have to agree with them and tell them exactly what they want to hear. And they know you only want to hear your beliefs reinforced, never questioned, even if maybe somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice tells you something about them may be wrong or a little flawed. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have small flaws in your beliefs, because on the whole, you know you have the moral superiority over the other side, who is completely immoral in every conceivable way, shape, and form, right? They, those on the opposite end of the political spectrum perhaps, are the epitome of evil, which is an argument I see made all the time on social media. This argument, not that it's a real argument actually, where people on one political side all but make the claim that every single thing their side believes and or has ever done is correct and morally superior to every single thing the other side says and believes or has ever done or will do if they get power. And yes, both sides do this. And since the other side is always wrong and corrupt and seeking to destroy your way of life, which is morally superior, right? Your way of life is the superior one. That needn't be questioned ever. And like I said, even if it's not perfect, it is certainly better than what the other side believes or wants to do. It then always becomes a battle about defeating the other side, defeating evil itself, no matter what, rather than ever looking for truth or examining what's actually right and perhaps seeking a compromise of any kind. Because there is no compromising with evil, which is what you fully believe or have been convinced the other side is. And the funny thing is, I know there are many of you right now who want to take to the comments below and explain to me how misguided or naive I am, that the other side is indeed evil and can't or should never be compromised with. That we are in a war right now for the very future of everything. And the thing is, I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. I think much is at stake. I think we are in a very crucial point in human history. I just don't know that the constant trying to beat the other side into submission with words on Twitter and everywhere else online is doing any good at all, or just exacerbating the problem. Well, that's all I got for this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and weigh in on this one, and do please try to do it in a civilized manner. Do not turn the comment section into a battle if you can help it. But anyway, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.